Okay, so I have the cold open today. It feels inauthentic now. I feel like I shouldn't have said anything beforehand. But here's the thing.
Well, you had a good thing to
What?
say. Say it again. You had a good thing to say. Say it again.
Okay. So, I think it's really important for me to talk about the fact that I played Astrobot before it won Game of the Year. Because we recorded an episode in September, and then for whatever reason, it either takes me less than 24 hours or over 6 months to record an episode or to edit an episode. And so we are barely releasing episodes that we recorded in September. And that's right when Astrobot came out. And then I played Astrobot and said it was good. But the episode did not come out until the Game Awards were out. So it sounds like I jumped on the bandwagon for Astrobot, but that is not true. I played it before it. I mean, not. No, because
cool.
I feel like it was cool as soon as it came out. But I played it before the Game Awards, and it's very important for me that everyone knows that. Anyways, hi.
Please see our previous episode on gaming status to better understand Dempsey's psyche.
We have a very special episode today. We have a very special guest, Rob. Do you want to introduce yourself, Rob?
Sure. My name is Rob Jonas. I am a vocational rehabilitation counselor. I work with people who are blind or visually impaired, helping them find or maintain their employment. With that, I know a lot about disabilities and accessibility, and that's what I'm here to talk about today is a little bit of accessibility settings as it comes to gaming.
Yeah, so Rob is very important to Overthinking Games lore. Before Katie was born, Rob was here, and so and Rob helped us through the podcast mostly when I was figuring out how to do a podcast. We had we recorded probably 6 episodes of practice, quote unquote, and it was a lot of me learning how to do any of this, and so those episodes just never got released. It was a lot of work for absolutely nothing. Honestly, it helped me a lot figure out what to do beforehand. But Rob was getting his master's, and he have a family and things like that, so it just didn't work out to commit to the long-term project. All of us are childless. We all are childless adults with full incomes and limited responsibility. So it's a lot easier for us to make time to do this on a weekly basis. But and so we thought it would be cool to have Rob back to talk about accessibility in games, which is important to more people than you realize. I think that's, for me, learning about accessibility in gaming, that's the thing that I really took away from it. Where there's really obvious kind of prototypical disabilities, but then there's accessibility, universal design, I think, and thinking about how people are going to interact with your product and thinking about how they want to interact with your product. And that sometimes lead to more options for even people who aren't disabled, specifically in video games. So that's what we're going to get into. I would like to talk about what we've been playing this week. I have been busy with work, so I have not been playing that much. I've been playing the Pokemon card game. I'm starting to understand this game, and it is kind of addicting.
I don't get it. I got through the first day of the game, right, where it's hey, here's the bajillion pack.
Yeah.
Wonder thing, pack. And then it's just we're gonna give you pack a day. And I'm that's too slow.
Yeah, and even if you pay money, it does not get better. So I have not paid money on this, but I do have the 2-week free trial for premium. Because they give you, and then I'm on my 2 weeks free trial for premium, and you get a 3rd pack a day. Is kind of the big thing with premium, and it is. So I apologize if anybody knows how to play Pokemon in real life. I do not know how to play Pokemon in real life. I'm playing the app during work meetings when I get bored, and it's so dependent on what cards you have. As a collectible card game, genuinely, if you just draw the better cards, there's a lot less skill involved. It's just impossible. If you pull your Charizard early and you can get that rolling fast, it doesn't. I don't know. I just because I feel a lot of deck building roguelites you can kind of do a lot even if the cards aren't great. Like, because I've never played a trading card game before. Like, so my experience is in like Balatro or Slay the Spire or whatever. And like, but this is not like that. This is like you build up a collection over a long period of time and you just keep opening packs until you get as many of the good cards as possible. And that's kind of the whole skill progression of this game.
Welcome to collectible competitive gaming, because that's it in a nutshell. Who came with the more expensive deck or team or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
Oh, so now random throwback. Rob, are you still playing that the Marvel like collectible figurine war game thing?
Hero Clicks. I actually went to the World's Tournament last year and competed in that. So that was pretty neat that I got to go there. I got my ass thoroughly handed to me, so
That's okay.
yeah, felt bad. I still play a little bit, but yeah, I've definitely slowed on it. But that is very much in the same vein, where it's whoever comes with the $1,000 team is pretty much going to be bringing home the prize. Now, when you're at that level, then everybody's got like $1,000 team, and so then it is a little bit more skill based, like who can, who gets the better dice rolls, who gets lucky kind of stuff. But yeah, in those games, it's who's got the bigger bankroll.
Sure. That's awesome. That feels high stakes and fun to go compete at a.
That was cool.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Did you get to travel for that? Or?
Yeah, so I live in South Dakota, and they have the World's Tournament every year in Graceland, Tennessee.
Oh.
So I went with a group of guys down to Graceland, and yeah, we stayed there for the weekend, played games, toured Graceland, and yeah.
I have opened up a fear in my life, and this fear grows bigger. And I think I've definitely brought it up before, but it's I will become a VR guy, like get really into VR, and it's happening. So I have my PSVR 2, and it's like there's like a sunk cost fallacy currently. So I've had it for about 3 weeks now. So like I'm playing it quite a bit. I'll probably slow down. It is magic. Like it is like surprisingly magical how immersive a really simple task is in VR. And like, I don't know. I feel like if I had a little less going for me in my life, like I could get addicted to VR pretty easily. Like, luckily, I have like a job and friends and hobbies and things like that. But if I had a little less going for me in my life, I could like become a Ready Player One kind of like potato on a beanbag, with a VR head strap permanently strapped to my head. It's so magical. So I've been playing. I think I talked about this game before, but it's called The Last Clockwinder, and it's where you make. So you create your own assembly line with your body, basically. So you have a task to complete. So imagine like you have to get a ball in a basket. It's 15 feet away, the basket, the ball. And so you throw it to yourself. So you have one robot, and like it's an assembly line. So balls keep coming down. It's fruit that grows. Anyways, so like you're picking fruit and you're taking fruit to the basket. And so you grab the fruit and then you hand it off. And then you record that motion, and there's a robot that takes your place that does exactly what you do. And then and then you can make as many of these robots as possible. Like, I've made I think up to like 30 of these robots. And so you can get like really complicated engineering feats out of like the actions that you do. It is so frustrating when you realize you can do things a little bit more efficiently, because you have to like erase all of your 30 robots and start over, and like that experience. And because like, and also like your actual physical dexterity has a lot to do with the efficiency. So like for example,
it's like live action programming.
Yes, that's 100% what it is. So like there's one where you have a machete and you're supposed to cut these plants. You need to cut this plant, and then the plant regrows very fast. And so like but you only have one knife, and there's like 6 plants. And so the speed at which you can cut the plants like is directly, and like how smooth the motion is and all these kind of things like that, like it's directly tied to your success in this game. It's like your actual physical dexterity has a big impact on, and I think that's such a cool, like I never thought I would get to experience that in video games, I guess. Like I obviously knew what VR was, but I never realized how like I don't know, how like actually physically demanding VR can be. And this isn't like a workout or anything, but it is dexterity based. Like it is like how smooth can your motions be? How consistent can you be? Anyway, so that's been like blowing my mind. I've been trying to train myself how to eat edibles because they're legal now in South Dakota. You can just buy them at the grocery store. And so I am scared. I can play video games while I'm high. I have a pretty low tolerance and I get very high because I've been high like maybe like 6 times in my life. And so since I got the VR, I want to get to the point where I can be high in VR because I feel like that would be like, I don't know. I feel like that would be like, I would be there, you know, like it would like, I would like be there in real life. Anyways, so that's
crazy.
Anyway, so that's what I've been trying to.
I can't, Dempsey. You have to tell us the first time you get high and you put VR on because you just have to report back.
Well,
that needs to be a very special episode of the podcast where you record yourself doing it.
Yeah, I've been because I don't understand myself in THC very well yet. Like I feel like I'm still in a learning process. But Power Wash Simulator is very good. In the last couple weeks, I've learned that Power Wash Simulator, there's something really smooth and non-stressful about it. I tried to play Astrobot while I was high, too fast. I couldn't process everything quickly enough. Because that game takes like skill, like, you know, you got to be good at that game. Anyways, so that's what I've been doing this week. So Katie, what have you been playing this week?
This week I've been playing a real life simulator called Moving Out. No, I've been moving house, so I haven't been playing a lot of games. But I have played a little bit of The Long Dark because that is just my comfort game that I just keep returning to, and I don't make a ton of progress. And like, I just had my best survival run, and I think I was at like 35 days or something. And then I was like, I wonder if I can get down this way. Fell to my death. I was like, okay, never mind. Starting over. So that's how that's going. But I did just get...
Did you see they announced
No, go ahead.
The Long Dark 2?
Yes.
How do you feel about that?
Yes. I'm like, well, I'm just curious. Are we going to finally get the 5th episode of Wintermute before the second game comes out? Or no?
Yeah, are they going to finish the first game first?
Hinterland, I love you and I appreciate you, but also where's my 5th episode? That's what I'm wondering. It's supposed to come out early next year, so maybe by the end of next year we'll see it. That's what I'm hoping. I feel like they're on the same level as the Hollow Knight people when it comes to like, oh yeah, it's coming, it's not coming, it's going to come out, it's not coming out. We'll see. I don't hold my breath because I'd like to live. But I also today got my PlayStation 5, which I finally had to bite the bullet because of several reasons. And one of them was that my PlayStation like literally started to die. When I would plug in my HDMI cord, it was like not always connecting to the TV. And I had to like wiggle it. And I was like, oh God, it's on its last legs. And then also tariffs. I wanted to be able to afford it, you know? So
this was a political purchase.
I went ahead. I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy it now. I'm going to buy it now while I still can afford to. So yeah, right. You know, I'm just thinking ahead here, people. So I got that, and it is downloading Warzone because it is now my Warzone machine. And I can't wait to see maybe it will make me a better player. Maybe I'll get good again and be able to take down noobs because of my 4K and my super fast Twitch reflexes. We'll see. I'm excited for that. But yeah, so that's downloading, and I was like, well, I can podcast because it's still downloading, so that's fine.
There's so many good. So
Okay.
So Astro's Playroom, you need to play that because that's
Okay.
one of the best things you can play on PS5, and it comes pre-installed for free.
What is it?
It's basically it's a game. It's a game / tech demo. So
it's like Astrobot, but like shorter.
Yeah, it's like a smaller Astrobot.
Okay.
And then buy Astrobot.
Cool. I'll check it out. And then buy Astrobot. Okay. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to buy Baldur's Gate Because I haven't gotten to the second act yet on my Steam Deck, but I know that it doesn't perform super well once you get into the
it's
later
true.
stages of the game. So I figure I might just take I feel disloyal to my Steam Deck. Like, I feel bad that I'm going to play other games on things other than my Steam Deck. Like, it feels.
I have so many duplicate purchases on my Steam Deck and on my PS5. I hate it. I hate that I do that. Do you have... So, Katie, there's been a couple games announced from the Game Awards that I want to get your take on. This is now Game Awards segment. Okay. Surprise. Joseph Ferris's new game, the creator of It Takes Two, Split Fiction. How do you feel about that?
Looks cool.
Yep. I'm down.
I
didn't look at it, but anything made by that guy. I don't necessarily care about the story, but I know the mechanics are going to be great, and it'll be good for playing with my husband.
So I think this story. So do you know what the premise is? So the premise is there are two authors. One is a sci-fi author and one is a fantasy author, and so you swap between sci-fi and fantasy worlds over the course of the game. And
oh my god,
I know.
love
and
that.
then like you like bring sci-fi elements into the fantasy worlds and fantasy elements into the sci-fi worlds. And so it's like all I was going to say gender bending, but that's not what I mean. Genre bending.
Yeah. So, Rob, I'm a special education teacher, but I specifically only teach English classes. So like fiction, literature, all that stuff, totally my jam. That sounds super fun. Yeah, I'll have to check that one out. Yeah. I didn't watch any of the Game Awards.
They were good.
Sorry.
The Sony guy thanked Nintendo, which was kind of a surprise.
Which is crazy.
Very funny.
He did what?
So the guy from Team Asobi, that's a PlayStation studio, kind of think PlayStation, but then also think Nintendo. Which is very funny.
He was he was doing the acceptance speech for Astrobot for the Game of the Year, and he's like, "Hey, by the way, like the company that kind of made platformers has made some like really good ones. They're not here, but we just wanted to like shout them out." Like he didn't say Nintendo, but like it was very heavily implied.
Yeah, he talked about the gray box when he was a kid. He was like, "I got a gray box when I was a kid." Yeah, it was very good.
Huh. Okay. Interesting. Well, that's pretty much what I've been playing, which is almost nothing. But Rob, what have you been playing this week?
This week I have been, I think as many of my fellow PC gamers, we drove back the Illuminate, from the outer rim and Helldivers. So we were working hard at that.
They have cars now?
Pretty smooth.
Is that a thing?
They are slowly starting to add in the vehicles and stuff. So they did a little drop where they did a little bit of Illuminate and they added in the Jeep, but
okay.
I'm gonna get my armored personnel carrier back. I played Helldivers 1. That was like my favorite thing to do, is drive those around. So
okay,
it's coming. I can feel it.
Do you feel like it's like, is this still balanced and things like that? Because I played Helldivers for like 2 months. Helldivers 2.
It's all over the place. It depends on the patch.
Okay.
I feel like they're getting better at like making things a little bit more balanced as time goes on, but it still feels like it's all over the place. Like one week it'll be this gun's the hotness, the next week it'll be this thing. So
sure,
whatever. But outside of Helldivers 2, I've been terrible lately. I've been bouncing around between a dozen different things, I feel like. Path of Exile 2 came out, so I've been playing a little bit of that. Marvel Rivals, been playing a little bit of that. And
how do you feel about I jumped into Marvel Rivals. How do you feel about it?
It's kind of feels like an Overwatch clone, but with a nice Marvel skin over the top of it, which I'm fine with. I've got my gripes with Blizzard, so if I can get my Overwatch fix without having to give Blizzard my time or money, then fine by me. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it in the long term. I think it's gonna be interesting how they decide to balance it, but it's fun. And then Supervive. That's the other one I've been playing on Steam. That one's pretty good too. So
Supervive, yeah.
It's a very weird mashup of genres. It's like a top-down kind of MOBA style looking game, but it's a battle royale. So you and a team of either 2 or 4 people like duke it out with like MOBA characters and try and survive to be the last team standing. So very, very weird mashup of things, but it works pretty well. So it's fun. Yeah. It's a neat one. I think it'll have some legs for the long term, but yeah, that's my week. Seth?
Well, I'm a poser. So after the Game Awards came out, I was like, guess I should probably go play Astrobot. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple days. Yeah, it's one of those things where I was like, hey, I know Astrobot is good, but I kind of needed like the back validation to be like, I should actually go play this game now.
Watch our episode or listen to our episode, Status in Gaming.
Yeah. Whatever Dempsey just said. Anyway, Astrobot's fantastic. I think there's a lot of internet discourse right now about like Astrobot should have won a Game of the Year, blah. It's fantastic. It's an amazing game. It deserves all the accolades it got. I saw somebody point out for Astrobot that Astrobot's just a very happy game amongst like a sea of games that are like, oh, it's cold and dark and sad. Astrobot's like, yeah, what if everybody loved each other and everyone was just really happy to be here and having a great time, and I'm playing it and I rescue somebody and they're like, woo, thanks. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, hop in. We're going for a ride.
It's like everything you do, you have a little party. Like you rescue someone, it's a little party. You get back to a planet, it's a little party. You start a new run, it's a little party. There's like a little party at every intersection of that game.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I really like about it is like it's designed as a very casual sort of game, and not in like a derogatory way, but like it's just a very casual game, like easy to just like sit down. I've been playing like a world at a time, so I'm gonna like blaze through this game. But I've been limiting myself to like one world a day. So I have like a sit down session, play a bunch of Astrobot, and then I'm like, okay, I'm good for today. And it's been a ton of fun just to like chunk through the game. It has some difficult sections, like all of the bonus levels that are like the square levels or the triangle levels or like the circle ones. I found those like fairly difficult platforming challenges, but like it also feels like the game is really innovative. Like every level you're like, oh, that's kind of like an interesting like platformer thing to do. So I could easily see myself 100%ing this. I almost definitely will, which I'm really excited for. Otherwise, I was still playing a little bit of old school RuneScape. Leagues is still out with all the bonus XP and stuff. I'm kind of finished with it. It goes on for like another 6 weeks or something ridiculous. But I've kind of like done all of the things that I was like, hey, this is like what I want to do. And I could just kind of like go grind bosses for like the next 50 hours, or I could play Astrobot. So I figured I would play Astrobot.
Seth, I feel like we've heard this tired tale before.
Oh, no, I mean, it's come back. Like it's I'm not like totally done. Don't get me wrong.
I feel like you've been saying, yeah, I'm done with RuneScape.
I'll be
for
back.
Like a year.
I'm not putting the nail in the coffin here.
We're on a break. It's not forever.
Seth is he's right there with me. We're typical MMO players. We have these love-hate relationships with our MMOs. It's me and WoW too, where it's just like oh, I hate you. I don't ever want to talk to you again. Get out of my face. And then it's like, give me 6 months, and it's like, no, this is my world, and this is where I'm going to live for however long. So,
Rob, I feel like one of our first ever conversations was you being like, yeah, I don't play WoW as much anymore, but there's like a new expansion about to come out, which I might play a little bit. And then we were like 2 episodes later, you were like, yeah, so like, I played like 40 hours of WoW this week. And then let's see.
How do you feel about the new FromSoft
Night Rain
announcement? Yeah, Night Rain.
Yeah, it looks cool. Dempsey had asked me in the chat earlier this week what I thought about Night Rain, and for context, like I don't know when this is going to come out, but all we've seen for Night Rain is like the stuff that was at the Game Awards, and there's been like a little bit of information that's like matriculated out, but I don't know. It looks like it's a sort of like Souls-like MMO, not MMO, sorry. Souls-like roguelite thing going on. And with a sort of pseudo, I don't know, like Space Marine-y, Helldiver-y kind of thing going on. Like,
yeah, so it's a
co-op.
Yeah, it's a co-op roguelite. And it's very funny because it's not balanced for anything. It's very FromSoft in the way that it's balanced. Because, so from what I've heard, it's either 3 or 1 player. And it's not balanced for 1 player. It's just they'll let you play it by yourself if you want to. So it's balanced for 3-player co-op, which I think is such a fun, like, I think that's such a fun idea because you can get the experience of playing a FromSoft game with friends without committing like 50 hours of your life to finishing a thing, but still feeling like you've accomplished something with them. And I think, and it seems to be a lot more cohesive, and like you can do a lot more exploring than you can in FromSoft games now, instead of just like helping with a boss and things like you, and the geography changes. So it's a new landmarks and stuff like that every time. I think even if it's not like was not FromSoft per se, I think it still sounds interesting.
Yeah, and like the idea of just like I mean, for me, it's like the perfect intersection of like the game genres I enjoy, right? Like it's just like a roguelite, Souls-like. So it'd be interesting to see how it's executed. Internally, it's not made by the same director who made Elden Ring and the Dark Souls games. He sort of like passed it off to another person who wanted to like head it up as a project, but it's got his like seal of approval and everything. So I'm excited. I'm hoping that eventually, maybe I could talk to Brett from Lord to Death and when the game comes out and see if we can like figure out what new story elements or something come out of it. But otherwise, yeah, I'm excited. I think that's about it for me. I don't know if I got too much else.
Rob,
what are we talking about this week?
You want to introduce our topic?
Sure. Like I said, my world revolves a lot around people with disabilities and accessibility, supports, adaptations, things like that. And I think without even realizing it, gaming has really, I think in a lot of ways, incorporated accessibility in some interesting ways, and made it kind of, I think a lot of games have really taken up this mantle of like making sure that anyone and everyone who wants to enjoy the game potentially can, and I think that's a really neat thing. So, I just wanted to talk about accessibility in gaming today, and kind of my first question for everyone, if it's okay, is tell me about somebody with a disability in your life. What do they have going on? Maybe what's some of the accessibility needs that they maybe have, without going into too much detail.
I have one. My dad actually raise my hand. My dad actually has, he's been disabled for 20 something years now with a spinal injury that caused a bunch of nerve pain. And we grew up gaming. My dad's a gamer, my brother's a gamer, like all of us, we all played together growing up. And so when my dad got hurt, he was suddenly not able to play anymore. And at that time, that was like the days of the N64. And I remember when he got this controller that would actually fit almost like a glove, and it would like strap to his forearm, and he could hit the buttons. It would like, it's hard to explain, but it was like almost like a glove, and the
power
buttons
glove
were along the fingers.
Did your dad have a power glove?
It was, I don't really know how to explain it, but it was like he could hold it, like his hand could be neutral, and he could push the buttons without having to hold on to a controller. Mm-hmm. And so that allowed him to continue to play console games back in the N64 days.
Katie, I put a picture in the chat. Did your dad have one of those?
Let me look. Let's see.
Old school power glove. I love it.
Yes, actually. Yeah, that's basically it. It was for the N64, yeah. So it was, I think, a little bit
later,
more updated than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they took the design of it and
like
went off with it to make it an accessibility
went a little
device,
bit further. And so that was honestly the last time that my dad was able to play a console with like a console controller. Now he plays PC. But additionally to that, he gets migraines from light sensitivity. So games that have different lighting settings and different color schemes can really affect whether or not he can play a game. So those kinds of visibility things that you might think are just for like color blindness or something, or actually can really be impactful for people with light sensitivity as well. So that's been a big one in our family for a lot of years.
Absolutely.
So I think, so this is an interesting question because it's actually a question that I have a lot of current context to. So my mother just got diagnosed with stage 4 kidney failure. And so we're preparing for her to go on dialysis. She's had, the question of is that the disability is actually a very monetary question now, because we're seeing how much support she can get, either if she continues working or if she can get on disability, because obviously dialysis kind of controls your life, and it's exhausting, and it makes it really hard to kind of function. She's going to be on a transplant list. And so, it's interesting. Like, so my mom really likes video games. My first gaming memories are with her. She really likes turn-based strategy games. So she loves Baldur's Gate 3. We play that. We have campaigns together. She really loves, I got her a PS5 for, her birthmas. Her birthday and Christmas are very close together. So, so for birthmas, I got her a PS5 so she can play Baldur's Gate. And I think, and like when, like thinking about, she's like, okay, she's probably going to get put on dialysis within the next like 2-3 months. It's been a process. And so we've been talking about like, I wonder if it's worth getting like a PlayStation Portal, so you can kind of have access to these things. And then also like looking at like, so my mom does not have the best eyes. She has diabetes and there's a lot of complications that come with that. And so, like things like text size, or subtitle size, and then looking at like, so the Steam Deck, so she's played my Steam Deck, but it's really hard sometimes for the text to be big enough for her to read well. And so that's something that we've been kind of exploring and looking at and seeing what options or, what things can kind of ease some of that stuff. But I think, so yeah, I don't know if kidney failure would count as a disability. I feel like, but maybe being on dialysis would. I don't know. I don't know how that stuff is defined.
We in my realm usually classify a disability as something that affects a person's ability to work or learn or function on a day-to-day basis independently. So, I mean, it can be major health concerns like that. Like in my world, diabetes is a pretty big, what we consider disability or limiting factor for people because, they have to monitor their blood sugars. It affects many organ systems.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something like that, I would definitely say would fall into that world. So maybe even if it isn't what we consider a typical disability, it definitely is something that falls in that category.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting question. It's something that has recently become something that I've been thinking about a lot.
Yeah, I don't have like much to add because I was thinking about just like the people in my life. But I know one thing that came up just disabilities in general. So my dad is a type 1 diabetic. So a little bit on the different side of things, maybe. But I was thinking about my dad who beat Elden Ring a while back, which is still very funny to me. As somebody who like doesn't play video games generally, and he was like, "I want to beat Elden Ring." And I was like, "Okay, Dad."
Hardcore.
And then he did, and that was very funny. But like my dad has played a few games over time. He used to play like the Zelda games with us when we were growing up. And he had a lot of trouble with Breath of the Wild because like the Joy-Cons are like so small and he's a man with big hands. This isn't disability, but just, I mean, I guess in terms of like general access, right? Like the guy's got big hands and the controllers are small and he's like, I can't, he would always be like, I can't do this right. And he would, he messed up a couple Joy-Cons, and stick drift because when he holds the controller, when my dad tenses up, he squeezes his hands and he would jam the thumbsticks on the controllers, and he caused like 4 Joy-Cons to like drift because he would just like jam his thumbs into the controllers. And I was like, Dad, let up on the controller, man. So, but hey, I mean, it's literally because like he's just got like big hands and tiny controllers. And I think he actually enjoyed the PS5 a little bit more just because like the controller was physically bigger for him to access. But in like general disability terms, like, yeah, my dad's a type 1 diabetic, you know, he's on an insulin pump and stuff. But I remember like all the time growing up before he got that, you know, he would step out to give himself insulin over dinner, you know, he'd be out to eat, he'd have to go to the bathroom and like stab himself in the leg, and it's a whole mess.
Yeah. The reason I bring it up is just because I think when a lot of us think about disability, you know, as, you know, I think most of us would be considered, you know, able-bodied or, you know, part of the general population. And, you know, when we think of people with disabilities, you know, as a larger whole, you know, we think of people like in wheelchairs, you know, missing a limb, you know, people using a cane to get around, people with, you know, hearing aids or communicating through sign language. But really the world of disability, I think we highlighted it here a little bit, can be a really wide spectrum of people and a really wide range of abilities and how it affects us in different ways. I think it's roughly close to like 30% of adult Americans are diagnosed with some form of a disability or another. So it really is a good portion of our population that is affected by disability. And whether we have it ourselves or know somebody with it, it is something that's commonplace and isn't going away. It's not getting any less. So whether it's a cognitive disability, a mental health disability, mobility, vision, hearing, you know, somebody's ability to live independently, all those things come into play when it comes to a person's daily living. And part of daily living is leisure, and part of leisure is video games. So I just think it's interesting how, without really thinking about it too much, you know, video games have really been kind of at the forefront of leading this kind of accessible, you know, push in our society. I think, you know, where other areas in our world are lacking, I mean, I encountered on a day-to-day basis. I mean, here in my hometown, we have people who are really struggling with transportation right now. We switched to like a new bus system, and it's not working well for a lot of the people who need to use it. And it's really frustrating, and they don't know what to do, and they can't go about their daily lives anymore because of this change to how their transportation is being handled. It's really frustrating. So I as a gamer, I'm really heartened by the fact that I can look at our video games and see a lot of things that are being done to make video games more accessible for anyone to enjoy them and play them. So I you know, that's kind of the intro to all of this. I don't know if we want to discuss specific things or if Kitty wants to maybe talk a little bit here. But at some point in time, I know they get a lot of hate and they're, you know, they do some shitty things, but I gotta talk about Ubisoft. Like, their games are number one in my book for accessibility. I love them to death for it.
I'm really glad you brought that up because, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be about to embarrass myself. Didn't Ubisoft make Assassin's Creed?
Yes, they're behind the Assassin's Creed franchise, amongst others.
That's what I thought. So when the first Assassin's Creed game came out, there were no subtitles. And as the games have progressed, they've become more and more accessible. And it's really, really interesting to look at the game franchise progression and see it go from like no subtitles to all of the accessibility features that it has now. And how much gaming in general has evolved since that kind of early 2000s when games started to get... That's when I became aware of games and I was like, oh, these are actually super cool. But just seeing all those accessibility features start to emerge and become more commonplace has been really interesting. My mom is actually deaf. Like, she's completely deaf in one ear and hard of hearing in the other. She wears hearing aids. And just recently, she was able to get hearing aids that can connect to her PlayStation. And you can adjust. In Call of Duty, they've added all kinds of accessibility features that they didn't have even, you know, in 2020 when like Warzone first came out, that you can adjust the like the vision stuff. So you can make it so that there's not like world shaking. There's like not a film grain and stuff for like motion sensitivity. but you can also change, like, there's a certain sounds that come from like throwing a flash grenade that was really bad for my mom. It caused her tinnitus to be worse. And you can turn that off now. That's a feature. So looking out for people's hearing, things like that. And since my mom's been able to connect her hearing aids to her PlayStation, she's become a much better player. And it made me realize all the times that I was like, I'd be like, she's like, where are you guys? I'm like, Mom, I pinged it. And she's like, the ping has a sound. And I was like, what do you mean the ping has a sound? She's like, I couldn't hear it before. Now I can find you. I was like, oh my God. Like, so much of that gameplay is specifically audio cues. And because I could hear it and she had her hearing aids, I assumed that she could hear it. But she couldn't until she was able to actually use the hearing aids and not her headset to hear the game. So it has like opened up that whole experience for her, which is super cool. So those kinds of things, I think someone who is not suffering, or not suffering, but like someone who is not dealing with those difficulties may not even be aware of it. And so when you realize like the fact that people who are making games are thinking about all of these different possibilities, I think it's just tremendous. It's really cool.
Yeah, the one that I played recently that I absolutely love. The game itself, I think is an okay game. I think it needs a little bit of work still, but Star Wars Outlaws, Ubisoft game, kind of got some flack early on for, being this big open world, run around, kind of worthless stuff kind of deal. But the one thing I like about Ubisoft games, the second you start them, that goes through this huge list of accessibility options and settings. It says, do you need this? Do you want this? Change this setting, do this, let's customize the game to your needs. The thing that I really like about theirs is not only do they have, all the physical things we think of, like, audio, visuals, subtitles, even audio description. So somebody who's visually impaired who needs like a cutscene to be like explained to them because they can't see what's happening in it. They have all that stuff, but then they have the actual difficulty settings. So it's like, do you want the survival settings to be really hard or really easy? Do you want the combat to be really hard or really easy? Do you want aim assist? Do you want, like, there's a lockpicking mechanic in the game where it uses tones to like signal when you use your lockpick. You can change it to a visual cue if you want to instead of an audio cue. For Sabacc, the card game, it has like these weird symbols that you use to determine like what card you want to play and stuff like that. It's like, do you want simplified card like logistics or whatever so you can see what you're doing easier and stuff like that? And it's just really simple things that really go a long way to make a game like that for everyone. And I get it. Like, I think of a game like Elden Ring, where that's a game that's it's just unforgiving in the greatest way possible, but it's not a game for everyone. That's a game that's gonna be for a select audience. And I appreciate games like that, but I also really appreciate games like Star Wars Outlaws that really just wants anybody and everybody who wants to come be a smuggler in the world of Star Wars to come enjoy that game and be part of that experience. So
and
I think it has its place, but yeah.
No, and I think that's really interesting because like things like large franchises that are very popular and like would have a really broad appeal, I feel like that accessibility becomes even more important. Like,
for sure.
I think like I would say like something like a Fromsoft game, it's a little bit more auteur. Like, it's a little bit more like it's this one guy's sadistic fantasy, and you kind of gotta you kind of gotta meet him on his level, and like there's a lot of like it feels like a lot more like personal expression in that experience. And I think like within that like element of like this is a really specific curated vision, but like something like a Star Wars Outlaws or like Ubisoft takes on like these really big massive AAA games like Assassin's Creed, like they're really meant to be like really pop culture-y, blockbuster-y kind of fun games that they're like a Marvel, literally, it's like these big franchises. And so I think like that they would be doing such a disservice to their community if they did not have robust accessibility features, because they're not trying to make an R2 experience. Like Star Wars Outlaws was like it's not like a, I don't know, like a a small curated experience. It's like a tentpole franchise that they're hanging their company on. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
The fact that it's pop culture, I think, is part of that
Right.
conversation.
One of the other
Do you think? Okay. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
just
go ahead.
one of the things that stood out to me, about this when I was watching the Game Awards too. Like Game Awards had a whole category for innovation in accessibility, which I didn't even know that it was going to be coming up until they mentioned it, and I was like, oh, that's a cool thing to like highlight. And to the point of like Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown was the winner of that category, published by Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And this is actually, I mean, I didn't even think about this until Katie, you had mentioned something about the settings for Warzone. But when I was playing Astrobot, I was sitting there and I was like, man, why do I feel like motion sick? And it wasn't until like I went into the settings that I was like, oh, okay, like they have a thing to like disable the screen shake, and I like disable the screen shake, and I was like, oh, like I feel a lot better playing this now. Which has never been a problem for me before, right? But like, we change over time, and I'm not getting any younger, so
I was gonna say,
yeah, I
you're
am
old,
getting
man.
old. So like, yeah, like the screen shake now for me is a little like, I don't feel so great. Now, should I probably go apologize to my poor mother who like watches Mario Kart and is like, oh, and I always made fun of her for it? Yeah, probably.
Oh my god.
But yeah, that was something for me like in the last couple days that I was like, oh, like I probably actually need this accessibility feature to enjoy this thing.
Do you think, thinking about games like Elden Ring, and I know we've touched on this on the show before, but when it comes to like difficulty rating or difficulty settings, and games like Dark Souls or other Souls likes, like where it's like, oh well, you just have to get good. And there's like this elitism that people, no offense,
100%.
Seth, there's like this elitism that people have. They're like, oh, I'm so good at Dark Souls. I'm a real gamer. But then, like you're saying, that really does, because there's not much to it when it comes to accessibility features, it really does close the door for a lot of people to be able to share in that experience. And I do think that, like, if somebody would benefit from an accessibility feature that makes it so that they can play the game, there's nothing to say that the game is going to be any quote unquote easier for them than anybody else playing the game. It's just opening the door so that they can access it. So do you think that's something that might evolve with like FromSoft sorts of games, or like where do you think the stance is on that?
So it makes me think about the sort of like special education realm of like accommodations versus modifications, where like I think accessibility features tend to be like accommodations, right? This idea that like we haven't really modified any content, or we haven't like modified your assessment. We're just like finding out a different way to like prepare it to you or like scaffold it in some way. Whereas like I think a difficulty modifier it is like a modification, right, to content.
Sure.
And I think there's a point about like Dempsey, and he would be able to speak more on like the art side of this, that like there is a vision sort of intended. And I think part of the vision that FromSoft has for their games is the difficulty. Whereas like the difficulty is not necessarily part of the vision in Star Wars Outlaws. Like it's a part of the gameplay experience, but if you were to like if you were to make it easier or make it more difficult, you're just doing that because the player wants like an easier or difficult experience. Even the other point that Dempsey said, like Star Wars Outlaws might be a sort of like flagship product on like one of their main product lines for like Star Wars, and it's got big branding and franchise associated with it. But like, imagine you're like watching a Star Wars movie that had like quick time events. Like, sure, that could be like a thing that happened and somebody could have some sort of interesting vision about it. But I would also probably be like, can I just watch the movie?
Sure.
I don't know why I mentioned that, but
no, yeah, I think like story. So like, I think difficulty is often called story mode. Like the
Sure.
easy difficulty. I think a lot of games have taken away like the easy, hard, whatever language and use story mode or challenge mode or whatever. So I think this is a very interesting question. because I do think artistic intent. I think artistic intent does not have to be for everyone all the time at all. I think if an artist wants to do like a performance piece where they invite people to jump on a trampoline with them, that does not make, just because not everyone can do that doesn't make a bad art piece or whatever. Kind of taken out of video games, but like I think I do not think all art needs to be for all people all the time. But I do. So this is an interesting question of like when. Like what do you consider like the core of the game, and like how do you feel like that like what do you feel like is like important to be protected in that experience as they're doing like as we're putting in like accommodations and things like that.
So Rob, because you live in the space of like providing accommodations for people to meet the core needs of their job. So I guess without going like too much into the specifics of literally what you do, like how do you sort of work in that space of like working with somebody to be like, okay, like what do you need to do your job?
Right. So yeah, that's the way labor laws work is we operate what's called a reasonable accommodation. So essentially, when we want to get somebody into a job, but they have a disability and that is limiting their ability to do that job, then we have to be able to in some way still get them to be able to do the core functions of that job. With no undue burden to the business. So in that sense, I think your example of modification versus accommodation is a really apropos one in this case. If a person needs to be able to work on a computer, maybe we get them a larger monitor, maybe we get them text reading software, maybe we get them different keyboard, a whole variety of different things, but they still have to be able to do the core function of whatever it is they're trying to accomplish. So that's usually the gist of it for a lot of people. Now, the flip side to that is that sometimes we do specialized jobs for people, which we call job shaping, which is where we essentially say, hey, this job requires this person to, drive a forklift. This person can't drive. So can we just eliminate that function from the job and give it to someone else? Is that a possibility? And if so, then we do that. So I think with games, that's kind of, I think what you pointed out was really good. So like Elden Ring, for example, I love Elden Ring. It has a great number of audio features, visual features, things like that you can change. That I would all consider those accommodations. So you can adapt the actual, experience that you're having with it to, your liking or to what your needs are. But the core gist of the game, that difficult, really, hard boss fight features of the game is not going to change. That's always going to remain the same.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's okay. I think giving people, some people just can't do certain jobs. I tell a lot of the people that I work with who, a lot of the people I work with are visually impaired, and I tell them, you know what? I can probably, with the right tools, training, education, get you into just about any job you want to do, but I can't make you a truck driver. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Like, you can't see, you can't drive. That's just, them's just the breaks. And so I think that's what Elden Ring is. I think, we can get the audio to the perfect quality for you. We can change the color of blood to make it more visible for you. We can, make it so, you're getting audio description and whatever else. But at the end of the day, you still got to be able to kick the boss's ass. If you can't do that, sorry, man, that's just is what it is. And I think people in the world of disability understand that too, that sometimes there will just be things that aren't meant for them, which is unfortunate. I think, people being able to enjoy as many experiences as possible is a great thing. But I'm never going to be a rock climber. I'm probably never going to jump out of an airplane. And you know what? That's okay with me. Sometimes there's just certain experiences that aren't meant for certain people, whether that's based off of ability or desire or whatever the case might be. It is what it is. But like I said, the thing I like about the games that do offer that as an option, I just appreciate that they really think about all the different things that could go into a person's experience and allow that customizability to that experience, which I think is really nice.
And I think that's always something that's really cool then to see, just because I feel like this stuff always pops up online, is like people with some sort of like disability, varying ability level that's like, hey, because you see crazy stuff for like Elden Ring all the time, or for It feels like it also comes up in like MMOs a surprising amount because I think people are just addicted to MMOs. I saw a post on the RuneScape subreddit like a couple weeks ago where somebody was like, "Hey, I got paralyzed from the waist down, or I'm sorry, from the neck down, but I play RuneScape just by, looking at parts of the screen to move my character around, and I have the ability to bite down to cause like a click to happen." And they beat like one of the hardest like PVM challenges in RuneScape, and they were just like casually posting about it, and you're like, that's crazy. Like I guess it's more of a comment on the tenacity of the human spirit than anything else. But like
one
I've seen all kinds of I've seen people similar situations like paralysis or something like that where they can use these like straw controllers where like breath control is how, and they play
so cool.
Warzone. And like this guy, I was watching this streamer, he was so good. I was like, holy, this guy would kick my ass. Like, and it was amazing to me. And he had really good call outs. I was like, how do you have call outs and you have a breath controlled controller? That's incredible. That's amazing.
One of the videos I watched was just about general accessibility, prior to talking with you guys tonight. But one of the guys on the video, completely blind, but he is like one of the top tier, I think it was Street Fighter or Tekken players in the world. And he does it all just by audio cues. So he just listens to audio cues and he's able to tell where somebody's at on the screen. And then he just knows his button combos and stuff. So yeah.
That's crazy.
That tells you about like the sound design of that game though is so consistent and so thoughtful that somebody's able to do that. That's incredible.
A game, I was thinking about accessibility features that I have used. Like Seth talks about the camera shake in Astrobot. So there's the gun in Another Crab's Treasure is I think it is an accessibility feature. Like, I think that is the purpose of the gun. So, Rob, do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm familiar with the game, but I haven't played it, so I'm not sure what's going on with the gun exactly. But
so, Another Crab's Treasure, you put a bunch of shells on your body, and your shells. So, you're a hermit crab. Yeah. You go into different trash in the ocean and use that as shells. And in the options, you can just put a gun and then just shoot things and one shot everything. And I was able to use that. I think so. Okay. So here's also something that I think is really interesting. People know what kind of experience they want. I think so I knew I wanted to feel what it felt like to beat the bosses. I really don't like 2-stage bosses though. Like, I feel like once I've proven to myself that I can do one stage, I can skip that. And then, so you shoot them and it starts. So it's basically a skip this first boss phase button as what the gun acts as. And like, for me, that made that experience, like, I don't know, like it was such a better experience for me. Cause like the amount of enjoyment I was going to get out of that game otherwise was going to, like, I don't know. I just didn't want to fight these really difficult 2-stage bosses. And I think, yeah, so I think for me, that is a recent time where like there was an accessibility feature that I used for my own personal experience. And it's a really like playful implementation of an accessibility feature as well. Like it's you just strap a Glock to your back as a crab, and that's the feature. But
that's really cool, though. They kind of baked it into the game itself, which is, I think, a neat idea.
Yeah, and like, and it makes sense because, like, or in my opinion, it makes sense because, like, it's a cartoon, and so to like take it very seriously about like accomplishing the difficulty or whatever, I don't feel like is what that game is about at all. Well, actually, like it's like a SpongeBob-esque, like fantastical journey where you're a crab. And so I think I don't know, that's just I don't know, that's just something that I was thinking about as we're having this conversation. Also, like really small things, so like for example in God of War, and the thing is, like at some level I think that like just like making things more palatable and making things accessible you can't really differentiate those two things. And so there's a setting on God of War where you can auto collect items. So instead of going and pressing circle every time there's an item near, you can just go near something and then you're going to collect it because you would never not want to pick something up anyways. And so like that makes that game so much less tedious. Genuinely, it's a better experience. And I think that, like, yeah, I think that would be an accessibility feature. Even if you're not disabled, it just acts as making the game more palatable.
And I think,
sorry, go ahead,
I was just
Rob.
going to say, and I think one of the great things about accessibility in gaming is that we can all benefit from it. Like, when I think about some of the accessibility things that I provide in my job, they're really specialized a lot of the time and they're, core to that person. But a lot of the things that we've done on like a more macro scale for accessibility, things like, more elevators, things like, more entrances to buildings, ramps and things like that. Just a lot of really just general things that, are meant for people with a disability, but really benefit us all. And I think games are really, a highlight of that is that, things that, maybe are meant for somebody with a specific, in the case of God of War, maybe somebody has, some mobility or dexterity issues in their hands. So pressing a button repeatedly all the time is really hard for them. So just moving, a joystick is a lot easier for them to do that. But like you said, it makes it better for all of us. And I think that's what's great about accessibility is not only does it benefit the people who really need it, but it also benefits, just the general population too. It just makes everybody's lives, a little bit better, a little bit more easier for them, which I think is nice.
That was exactly going to be my point, Rob, or my comment. Accessible design tends to be just good design. And I see that I do. So in teaching special education, I have what we call like the pull-out or resource classes, which are for students that need like more one-on-one support. They tend to be smaller classes. But then I also do what's called co-teaching, which is where I teach in a general education classroom with a general education teacher. And the class is a mixture of students with IEPs and general education students. And what I find is that the greatest success that I have is with teachers who design their assignments to have explicit instructions and who in their design, they already have chunked the assignment. So it's already broken up into pieces. The steps are explicit and it's everything that I would do in order to make it accessible for my students. And they just do that for everybody. And you see across the board, the really academically strong students fly and the academically, the struggling students are able to rise and meet the same standards. And it's just the outcome is a lot better and a lot more consistent when you're starting out with something that's already designed really well to be accessible to the most number of people. So, and I think we see that with gaming as well.
Completely agree. I could go on and on about accessibility settings
and
all this other stuff, but the final part of this topic that I just wanted to bring to you guys is something that's a little bit more topical. It's a recent thing, and then maybe can bridge us into the later part of what we wanted to talk about today. But great documentary I saw that I feel like kind of relates to this, Secret Life of Eibelin. Have you guys seen it? Do you know what it's about?
Mm-mm.
It's probably one of my favorite pieces of media from this year. It's a documentary. It's on Netflix, I believe, if I recall correctly. It's about a young man. I think, if I recall correctly, he passed away in 2014. But it's his story about he has I can't remember the name of the exact disease. It's a muscular disorder that affects the muscle systems and slowly leads to full body paralysis that and then does lead to death. He diagnosed fairly young with it, progressively got worse as he was getting older, and he got into World of Warcraft and played, this game religiously. He was a role player, which is something I do in the game too. But he is a role player, and his family was so very sad throughout his life that, he wasn't getting to live these social experiences, make these connections with people, really go out and live a life for himself. And then, he died in 2014, and they thought he died, friendless, without having really lived a life. And they found out that, he'd lived this entire world in World of Warcraft and made all these connections and friends and guildmates. And there's just this huge outpouring of people who, said they were so sad to hear that he'd passed away and how much of an impact he'd made in their lives. And it's just such a fantastic story. And I can't sing its praises enough because I think it relates to this in a way that, video games can do more than just, provide accessibility settings to people so that they can experience these things, but also give them the ability to do things that they never probably would have been able to do. I mean, Ibelin was probably never going to be, to go out and live a normal day-to-day life. But in World of Warcraft, he was a detective that ran his own agency, that had all these friends and a girlfriend and, just lived this wonderful life. And it was just such a cool story. And yeah, I can't talk about it enough. It's such a cool story. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any experiences like that where, maybe you got to see somebody get to do something that they didn't think they were ever going to be able to do, or maybe experience something that they didn't ever think they were going to be able to experience through video games.
So not to that level. But there is an element of simulation has been, I think, genuinely helpful for me at a very specific time in my life. So a couple years now, it's been 4 or 5 years from now, but I used to work overnights and I would sleep during the day, and in the wintertime I just would not see the sun. Because I would see the sun for like maybe 2 hours a day, but then I would sleep during the daytime so I can work my overnight shift. And the sun's not out very much in South Dakota. And I played Breath of the Wild to feel like it really helped me feel a lot less depressed working overnights and not being able to see the world that much, like literally like see the land around me. But I think for me, playing Breath of the Wild during that time, it at least gave me like a sense of warmth and a sense of like vibrancy in what otherwise was like a very dour, cold, depressing experience for me. So yeah, I think in that way, like they facilitated something that I did not have access to otherwise.
I would definitely say during a South Dakota winter, yeah, playing Breath of the Wild probably felt pretty phenomenal. I can relate.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That's great. Well, I think, do we have any final thoughts for our topic this week? I feel like you really encompassed it really well, Rob. Just with the way that like accessibility can open the door for people beyond just being able to play a game, or, like in my case, I teach students who really struggle with reading. They have dyslexia. They have different things that make it hard for them to access stories and literature and knowledge of the world and all of that sort of thing. And I think that accessibility features open up experiences and can create like just a really special portal for people who would otherwise not be able to have those experiences.
Also, like, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is a completely vibes final thought that can be easily disproved with empirical data. But I think that video games, it makes so much sense for video games to have like really robust accessibility features, because like this is the demographic, like it's the hobby that the demographic that maybe would struggle to do things physically would find a lot of meaning in anyways. Like it's like if you have like, if it hurts to walk in real life, like this is a way for you to kind of like, just like me when I was like wanting to see the sun in the wintertime. Like I just feel like making this a place, especially on those like broad experiences that as many people as possible can have access to, like as an industry, that just like, it seems like that's the exact population you would kind of want to cater to, because of what we can accomplish with this technology and art form. So,
oh, for sure. Yeah.
It's kind of my final thought.
Okay. Do we have any honorable mentions this week?
Yeah. So, Well, okay. I was gonna say something as a joke, but I think it's gonna come off too sad to be a joke.
Oh,
but I could cut it out. But I want to talk about my relationship with fast food. I feel like I've talked about this before on the podcast. How
buckle up, folks. Here we go.
But, so my mom got diagnosed with dialysis. We're talking about putting her on a transplant list a lot, and it's very stressful, even though it's not me. But just you can. This was going to be my other cold open too. But you can directly see my mental state by how much fast food I have in my car. Because like I'll like crumple up the wrapper, and like I got out of my car today, and I was like, oh, I have not wanted to cook myself. Like I've just have not wanted to cook for like last week as I've been, and it's been work stuff too. But I think it's not really a TV show. But I think I think.
It's just the Truman Show.
But yeah, that's a thought that I have been ruminating on for the last hour or so. I got out of my car. I stopped at Dairy Queen today on the way home, and then as I was getting out of my car, I was like, man, normally my car does not look like this. I normally eat my peasant meal. Normally, I've talked about peasant meal on this show before, and I think, yeah, I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about. If you have I think if other people have like stories about like how like accommodations that they've made to experience art or experience video games, I would love to hear that stuff. Me and my mom are planning on we'll like play games together. And so what that looks like when like the idea of being able to play, because like people play video games when they're on dialysis, like that's something you can do. And so the idea of like giving her some kind of escape from that, and like it just really recontextualizes what video games are capable of for me. Anyways, but yeah, if other people have stories about, you know, creating accessibility for people in their life, we would love to hear those and read those on the air. I have been playing a lot of Travelers, which is a
that tabletop
role playing game. My group is taking a break for the holidays, which makes me very sad. But I think that if you are listening to this and you've never tried a tabletop role playing game, I think it's so fun. It is so immersive. Like it is surprisingly immersive if you play with good people. Mm-hmm. And it can really feel like an escape that's not unhealthy. Like it feels like you're still like around people and sharing a space with people you care about and building community. And also you don't have to think about the things that are stressing you out in that moment. And like, if you have a good DM, like they can really if it can really take you away to some place that you would not otherwise have access to. So that's my plug for, if you have access to tabletop role-playing games with people, it's definitely worth doing.
Nice. I think my honorable mention is a video game. It's Limbo. I don't know if our episode about games for non-gamers is going to be out by the time this one airs, but I played Little Nightmares with my friend Roseanne back in October, and she had never played a video game before. So it was a super interesting experience. We had a lot of fun, and she is going to come over this weekend and we're going to play Limbo, and she is going to handle the controller, because Limbo is an excellent game for non-gamers because it's so linear and like very simple controls, super not like, if you're not used to sticks, super friendly for that, for learning the motor scheme for that. And yeah, so I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be great. If you haven't played Limbo, you should play Limbo. It's really good. It's a cute, creepy little puzzle game that you can beat in about, it's like 3 hours probably. How about you guys, Seth or Rob? You got any honorable mentions?
Speaking of games for non-gamers, Astrobot. Played it with my girlfriend. I forgot to mention.
Really?
But she got through like most of the first world. And like she's played a little bit of video games, but definitely would not categorize herself as a gamer. She thought it was super fun, and she wants to play again sometime. As again, very casual, chill game. As for me, other honorable mentions, I bought said same girlfriend a Becky Chambers book for Christmas.
Oh my God. Those
what
books
book?
changed my life.
What are they?
I bought her a Becky Chambers book. I was gonna
I love Becky
send it
Chambers.
to you guys, but it's got a really long title.
Yeah, they all
okay.
do.
That's not helpful. It's
Is it
like
the
got
monk?
a green cover.
Is it Robot
No.
and Monk or whatever?
No. Hold on. It's
Hold on. I think.
Let me go find it. Hold on. Give me 1 second.
Is it
Okay, Rob, what's your
is it a
honorable
song
mention?
for the West? Oh shit, he left. Never mind.
He's coming back. No, mine. I got 2 of them. So,
Okay.
so for my D&D group,
It's
there we go.
the long way to a
Oh,
small
God.
angry planet.
Sorry, Rob.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
the
that's a good
first
book.
one.
Yeah, cool. I wasn't
That's
sure if it was
it's
like the first one or
great.
whatever, but
Yes. Well done. Oh, it's so good.
it seemed like from what you guys were saying, she doesn't read a ton, but like she read a little bit of Dune. She really likes like Mage Trials, and she just
better
read
than
Handmaid's
Dune.
Tale. So I was like, oh, she seems like she might enjoy this. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Cool.
Cleaned out my
done.
fridge this week. Anyway,
This better not come out before Christmas, I
I
guess.
have a sneaking suspicion that this episode will not be coming out in the next week. Also, she doesn't listen to our podcast, so
Then you're safe. You're
Oh,
good.
brutal.
I'm all good. Any honorable mentions, Rob?
Yeah, I got 2 of them. So on a similar note to Dempsey, I run a Blades in the Dark campaign. We were on hiatus, but
I
we're
love
doing some other
Blades.
campaigns right now. But my players love it. I love it. And so for Christmas this year, I thought it'd be really neat to get an art commission done of all their characters together. And so shout out to Akiori on Reddit. I found her. She does great horror artwork, and she did all of my player characters. I got prints made of it for him for Christmas. I'm so excited to give it to him tomorrow. So that's one of my big
So
things. I'm super
exciting.
happy with that. And then the other one is just kind of a weird one. So I'm a rat dad, and unfortunately, my last boy passed away yesterday. I had to take him in to have him put down.
Oh, I'm
unfortunately,
sorry.
and so I told my wife, I was like, oh man, I can't do rats anymore. They're just such cool animals, and they have such personalities, but they only live like 2 to 3 years, so they die really fast.
Mm.
And so I was telling her, I'm like, I can't do rats anymore. I'm done. And then, of course, I went on the rat subreddit today, and I was like, you know what? I could probably get like 2 more rats. It'll be fine. It won't be a big deal or anything. So all the rat people out there, we're gluttons for punishment, apparently.
Oh. They are supposed to be like super smart and like
They're the best pets. I love them so much. My last boy that I had was,
yeah.
we call him a pocket puppy because he loved to hang out on my shoulder in my sweater with me and stuff. And so
That's
he would just chill, and he
crazy.
was just super calm about it, and loved him to death. He was such a great rat.
So would you say that rats are poorly characterized in Three Skeleton Key? Have you ever read that
I
story?
haven't read it. I've heard of it, but yeah, I think rats generally in
Okay.
media are pretty ill portrayed. They are, yeah, incredible animals and awesome pets.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Rob. We really appreciate you coming on
Wait,
the show. And
We have some stuff to plug.
go ahead.
So,
we do.
follow us on Blue Sky. We have a Blue Sky now. I'm not going to get us to Twitter. I'm saying this because
Hell no.
because I don't know how long TikTok is going to be around.
Sure.
That's fair.
Also, I'm doing a series where I'm going through video game soundtracks. So follow us on TikTok for that. And I wanted to show off my new one. So I get like 1 vinyl a month. And by the cover, can you guess what this is?
A Hat in Time?
Is it The Long Dark?
No, good guess though.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
want to describe the cover?
Oh, it looks like a cast iron pot with a metal handle.
Is it for the Stanley
and a little
Parable
wooden
2?
thing.
It is for the Stanley Parable.
Ah, let's go!
Oh.
So
the bucket.
Yes, it's the bucket from Stanley Parable. So I have Stanley Parable. There is no vinyl for the actual game that I want a vinyl for, which is the Beginner's Guide. Only for that one song that plays when you're picking up the living room. But so this is the second best thing. Anyways, make sure you're following us on TikTok to hear me talk about
And Instagram in case there's no more TikTok.
And Instagram and Blue Sky. I just need to make sure that we plugged all that stuff and let people know that we're talking about vinyls. We're probably going to be talking about it for like the next couple months on the whatever page you follow us on.
Sweet. Okay. If you would like to send us an email with your thoughts about accessibility, the ways that maybe it's impacted your life or people you know, or just your thoughts in general on it, you can send us an email. It'll be in the show notes. And again, Rob, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so glad I got to meet you. And I'm sure we'd love to have you on again if you would grace us with your presence.
Anytime.
And we will catch you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Okay.
Fantastic.